All right, viewers, you're welcome to your darling station, The Living Television. Today, we'll be having your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. In today's Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at the tiger economy as proposed by the PDP governorship candidate of Abia State, Professor Uche Ikodne. And today, according to him, he said within a decade, Abia will become Nigeria's export capital, double its economy, reduce joblessness by half, and improve the quality of life to its people by focusing on 5 pillars. These 5 pillars we are going to look at today. We have an expert in the house, an expert in all sense. Talking about experts, the man we're talking about has been in the federal and also has been in the Assembly Speaker, and also contested for the governorship of this state. And then he is an all-round leader. He started from the local government, and above all, is a lawyer by profession. And today, we are having in the House, Right Honorable Uzochukwu Azubike. Honorable, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Living TV. Merry Christmas, Abia people.
All right, Honorable, we want to look at this. First and foremost, our audience will want to know what tiger is, what the tiger economy, what that means, because we know that tiger is not a domestic animal, and when you're talking about tiger, you're talking about one of the wild animals in the bush, and then we are talking about tiger economy. And he also said, we are all must prosper. Let us look at that first before we go into the 5 points.
Thank you very much. To put the records a little bit straight,
Okay.
I really didn't contest for governorship at the time. I expressed interest in 2013, 2014. But that year I ran for the House of Reps. I didn't contest for governor.
Okay.
Having said that, the tiger economy is one of the 2 concepts developed by the most erudite professor, PDP governorship candidate for Abia State, Professor Eliezer Uche Ikodne, as a means of ensuring good quality and result-oriented governance when it pleases God and the people of Abia State, and he emerges as the governor of Abia State come 2023. The 2 concepts are the participatory governance concept, which is his own creation, and then the tiger economy. Many people, when they hear of a tiger, they think of the big animal that is the king of the jungles. And they place different interpretations to it. Coming to play big, coming to play strong, and all that. In fact, I'm aware that a group has already named itself Odomabia group, because they think that's what that tiger means. Whatever it is, tiger, as conceived by Professor Uche Ikodne, is an acronym representing the 5 pillars of economic pillars of his intended government by the grace of God. T, standing for trade, which you know is the economic base of our people, particularly the Igbo people. I'll get into that later.
Yes.
Then industrialization, which is critical to the advancement of development of Abia State, the economic growth of the state, and indeed the entire Nigeria. People already seen Abia hosting Aba as the Japan of Africa. Then you have the good governance, which incorporates the participatory governance itself and other indices of good governance, rule of law, and all that. And you have the education, E standing for education, education, health, and human capital development. That comes under E. And then you have the rural development and agriculture and other things that have to do with being the R in the tiger. So yeah. T for trade, I for industrialization, G for good governance, E for education, and R for rural development. That is the meaning of tiger as constructed by Professor.
Okay, I'm sure Abians will be happy to know that, because there have been a lot of speculations here and there. A lot of people thinking a tiger being a carnivorous animal. That's what I mean, because this is just a coined word, an acronym that explains the five-point economy that intends to use in improving Abia State. All right, away from that, Honorable, we're talking about trade now. And I know when we talk about trade, in as much as trading, trading itself does not stop at the four corners of the market, but all encompassing. Yet, the market itself, when we talk about market, is very sine qua non to the existence, to the existence and surviving state of any area. Take for instance, when we talk about trade here in Abia State, the first port of call will be Ariaria. And recently we had the Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Oki Kalu then, and then the former commissioner, he's not former now, because he's no more there. I think he's in another ministry. After his visit, about the good intentions of the government, the leaders of Ariaria, their chairman and so on, they were here, about 4 of them, who came here to tell us that everything they promised the governor made about Ariaria in particular, the nothing down, how they promised to build that place themselves, but the governor said they were going to handle it and gave them only a year. Until now, nothing had been done. Now, talking about trading, Honorable, what do people and what are Abians expecting from this incoming governor by his grace?
Well, I really don't expect that a forum like this will be used to project gossip as what it is. Because if you're talking about government and Ariaria and what the traders said, it has nothing to do with the tighter economy we are discussing for the incoming government. Having said that, that's why we're talking about participatory governance, where people will have access to government, and where government will consult people before they take decisions, and where government will, from time to time, engage the people to explain their actions and possible difficulties. If that channel is open, that is what I do of participatory governance. If that channel is open, the other people you are talking about will not come to you. Yes. They would rather go to that tag forum is there. They would rather interact with government and know why government said we'll do this within 1 year. They were not able to do it. You can't put that question to an incoming administration. That's why I call it gossip. Now, we appreciate one fact, that the economy of Ndigo is a market economy. It's built on trading. That is why our weeks are calibrated on market days. For Eke Orie, Nkwo, Afuku Olugu, Nkota, and the Keta. They are the 8 days that make the Igbo week. That shows the importance of market and the importance of trading to Ndigo. Now, trading as conceived under Tiger as the first pillar is a conscious step, conscious programs and conscious policies of Professor Kone's government when it pleases God to put him on the seat of the governor of Abia State, to ensure that there is enabling and conducive environment for trading. Trading going beyond buying and selling. Trading leveraging on modern technologies and advancements. You know today, for instance, that People don't need to come to Ariaria to buy goods from Ariaria. They stay back there in their house, use their phone, and place their orders, and it is delivered at their doorstep. Now you talk about the physical market. What makes Aba tick, for instance, is not Ariaria market. It's rather Aba that makes Ariaria market tick. Because every part of Aba is a market of one sort or the other. If you go to Ngwa Road, for instance, you see where they make clothes, many of which they finish, and the label made in China, made in wherever, because people have that drive, that appetite for imported goods. And two, there is this complex, I would say, or rather this belief that when goods are labeled made in Aba, they are taken to be inferior, low quality, and non-lasting. So because of that, when people produce their goods, they are not proud of it. But if there's anything anybody can credit the sitting governor for, Dr. Kezi Bazum, it is the level he has lifted the consciousness of people, the regards for people, the demand for people for made in Aba products. They have been classified from being low quality, short lasting products to products you can be proud to wear. That's why the governor himself, all through his tenure, wears only made in Aba products. So what this administration will be doing on that is to further that drive. Not only by making people to come and patronize goods made in Aba, but also ensuring that the products made in this place, in Abia State, meet global standards. That's why one of Professor Ikone's philosophies is thinking globally and strategizing locally. Now, it's not enough to ask people, come and buy, we can produce it. We're also looking inwards to ensure that what we produce has the necessary quality that will compete with any other product anywhere in the world. That will make people who patronize us to have confidence in our goods, and will make us to be proud of our product. And when that happens, what is going to happen? There will be increased demand for products made here. And when there is that increased demand, of course, the value will go high, and the production will be stepped up. And the person producing will be happy and proud that is the maker of products that are now demanded globally. To achieve that, a lot of things are required. I'm still under the trade as a pillar. For you to achieve effective, world standard trading system, you must have basic infrastructure around. Sometime in the past, you can hardly access Ariaria. But under trade now, to have a free flow of trade, you must make sure that there is access to Abia State, any part of Abia State. Because there's no part of Abia State that doesn't have something that is producing that can be sent to the global market. You know, many times we have glut here. Glut is a situation where supply exceeds demand, and you have a waste, whether it's agricultural product or whatever it is. Now, when there is access, you have a link between the market and between the producer and the seller. And it makes it easy for people to come to wherever you are to get what they need. As part of trade, many people, for instance, take that area as an illustration, and any other part of Aba. Take the Ngwa Road, that is the
new market.
Yes, no, not even the new market. That area is a hub for fabrics.
Okay.
Now, many people who are knowledgeable and willing do not have the resources. Part of the pillar, trade as a pillar as economic pillar under Professor Ikone, is to also create access to finance so that traders will be able to fund their trading activities and ensure a sane and credible system that will guarantee return, not only on investment, but also paying back of whatever capital that you invest into your business. Because there's this attitude of people, generally too, in Nigeria, I don't know about other countries, where people see any fund coming to government as their own share of the national cake or dividend of democracy, making it difficult for government to sustain such either social intervention or business intervention programs. Under the trade as a pillar, as economic pillar, government will ensure not only that the trader gets access to the money, to funds, ensures enabling environment that make him do profitable business, widens the market for him beyond Abia and beyond Nigeria, and then also ensures responsibility on the part of the traders to make sure that they live up to their obligations to whichever sources of their finance. That is so far on trade.
All right, before we go over to the second one, you talked about participatory government. Most often, it's not the doing of the governors on set, but the aides. Because you said, when we mentioned Herrera, you said it's a gossip. I think that's why we are here, because in journalism, we know that there's always an element of truth in every thing, and then we can't scare away people.
No, it's not about truth. Yes, it's not about truth. What I call gossip is putting a right question to a wrong person.
A wrong person.
You understand?
Okay.
If you told me to come and discuss the tiger economy, which is the manifesto of Professor Leza, and you're drawing me to what people say about and form is not fulfilled to them. That is gossip, because you're asking the wrong person. The wrong person you should have asked was the man you called earlier, that you said that was here. You should have drawn his attention to what people say. So I'm not in a position to explain it. But as a Nigerian, I know that there are so many reasons why certain programs may not fly. There are so many reasons. Sometimes too, here, we sound so much that we seem to ignore general global challenges. Take, for instance, issue of flooding. There was a time that Ariara was flooded.
Yes.
And if you listen to the media, you find out that most parts of Nigeria were flooded, for one reason or the other. But people will isolate our own. Instead of knowing that it's an effect of the climate change, they will isolate our own and discuss it politically and treat it politically. And they want to put a dent, as somebody. And with such approach, you can hardly solve problems, because you politicize simple issues that needs collective effort to address. So it's not that their complaint is not genuine, but that I'm not the person to answer to it. That's why I call it gossip.
Okay.
Putting a right question to a wrong person.
Okay, talking about that, this is a participatory government. And like I said earlier, most of the times, the governors or the leaders and set will be really ready to do whatever they can to ensure that the people are happy. But most often, the aides, the people who are directly involved, because you don't just walk straight to the governor at any given time. There are people whose duty it is to ensure that there are protocols and so on. And then what will this incoming government do to ensure that if you say participatory government, it's really going to be participatory?
That is why that concept developed is key to the achievement of the tiger economy, where all must prosper. Now, in the democracy we run, the presidential system, the president takes responsibility, the chief executive takes responsibility for the actions of his aides, because the law has given him the power of hiring and firing without protocols. So, when you are given an opportunity to choose the people you are going to work with, whatever those people do will fall on your head. So, at the end of the day, the buck stops on the table of the chief executive. But no one man can run government. No one man can run government. Like when I was here last week, I think I did mention that governor is not government. That governor is just chairman of government. There are greater number of people around the governor that form government or make what you call government. Now, for you to get proper feedback as one person that cannot be everywhere, you must have reasonable and responsible people that are circulating to get the proper information, that if people access them, they have reached you. So once that fails, you will not be having the correct information and correct feedback from the people. That is why Professor Kone has made participatory governance to be key to his operations. What does it mean? He has proposed a bi-weekly community engagements, town hall meetings. Okay. If you talk about the area Racharedi, for instance, he will not stay in Umuahia and ask people to come and tell me. He will schedule a meeting within Aba where he will expect, without protocols, that people will gather and talk directly, face to face, to the government. The government now is the governor and the responsible aides. Where people have information, allegations, accusations against the aides, for instance, during town hall meeting, they should be bold enough to say, this is what your aide did. They should be able to say, oh, if the man comes to make you a promise now, I'm going to do this, they should be able to tell him, okay, some months back, you promised all this or that and you did not do it. So that is why it is key that there will be community engagement through town hall meetings. There will be open door policy, like Professor Kone did when he was Vice Chancellor of Abia State University. You walk into the Vice Chancellor's office, you didn't need to know him. You tell the secretary knows that it is the rule. Just like when I was Commissioner for Agriculture, just like when I was National Assembly. Everybody walking around me know that it is the rule that anybody who comes to see me, whether he knows me or not, must enter and see me. It doesn't mean that if I'm talking with somebody, you jump on me, no. Yeah. But you cannot stay there and discharge the person and say, no, he's busy. No, you will walk in, give the person a seat, walk in and tell me, this person is waiting for you. If the man sitting in my presence is taking too much time, what I normally do, and that's what Professor Kone did in ABSU, he will leave you in his office, because if you're a big man, he can ask you to go, and come out to the reception and attend to those lower people whose own issues may not take as much time as your own. At the end of the day, you clear it, and I come back and sit with you. If you want to stay for another 2 hours, you stay. So that is open door policy in administration. You must have Professor Kone under his manifesto in good participatory governance. We have lines that are open, which people can call, or most importantly, send messages to, and that he must read it personally. That was what he did in Abia State University. That's how he eradicated all forms of corruption in that place, whether it is financial or abuses by lecturers and staff of the university and all that. Once you send those messages, at his time, he will now look at it. What people do is everybody tries to call a man in office. And you know that, like we are talking here now, my phones are ringing. And because the man is not watching me, he doesn't know that I'm in a position I cannot take calls. He goes in his mind and registers it that you call us Azubike, he does not answer calls. Do you understand? Leave a message for me and see if I will not call you back. That is what participatory governance is all about. And that under Professor Kone's participatory governance, he's going to open all channels that will make people to access him without jeopardizing his other numerous activities as chief executive of the state. Have a feedback mechanism from the people. In doing projects, for instance, under participatory governance, government doesn't get up and say, my village is Umosunsulu. They say, I'm going to give Umosu people water. It's possible that every household in Umosu already has a borehole. Though you cannot exchange the public water system for this untreated water that we get from boreholes. But then, participatory governance means that government has to reach out to the people during budgeting to know the things that they prioritize as their needs. Then you cost it. He intends to extend it to level of, if within that community they have somebody who can execute that job, government awards it to you if you can execute, if it's not something that needs expertise of a sort, but ensures standard regulation and monitoring, so that people will have authority over who is executing their project. Unlike what you have presently, that people are isolated from projects executed within their community, that you can't even come and say, you're using low quality. Sometimes, even commissioner might not even have a say on job being executed by a contractor under his ministry. But under participatory governance, people will have to supervise and take ownership of the project from conception to execution, construction, then after that to management of such project. So that if somebody comes to tamper with any of the things in that place, they will be able to hold you because it is their own. That is part of the participatory governance mantra of Professor Eleza Uche.
All right, let us go over to the number 2. He's talking about industrialization. You know, that will industrialization. And talking about industrialization, Honorable, you've been in this time. In fact, if any man calls you a barman, the person is not making any mistake, irrespective of the fact that you are from Mumusulu in Isialangwa. But then, Onyangwa Birano Zibekela. Okay, so talking about this industrialization, and then I think it is one of the key things in terms of development. And at a point, I think Aba was leading in the whole of the southeast. Now, we have a lot of moribund industries here in Aba. Talk about the Aba textile mill, the International Equitable, although the near completion Ainimba Hotel and so on. That is supposed to accommodate a lot of people in terms of employment. What will this incoming administration do about these ones? And even, especially the international glass industry at what's this village, around 7-Up area?
Yes. Yeah. Umukaleka. Those areas, yes. You know, the challenge of Africa generally is that we produce raw materials. We put in the labor, put in much, and get nothing, almost next to nothing in return. Because our goods are not processed. We labor for those who process the goods, and we labor for the middlemen who export the raw materials. You go to that in agriculture, it's supposed to come farm gate price. Farm gate price of a product is what you can buy, the price at which you can buy it from the farmer in the farm, which is usually a throwaway price. And you come outside that farm the next moment and you price that your product, you'll be crying because somebody is enjoying your sweat. Now, industrialization involves a lot of things. Starting with infrastructure. There must be basic infrastructure that will carry industries. You cited instances of some industries that have left. At a point, the Nigerian breweries left Aba completely and relocated to somewhere in Anambra State. Yes. It took the political engineering of, I think, of Okesipazo or TL before they left.
They left during Ojo's Okala and came back during
Beautiful. To bring them back. The power challenges we have in Aba are also in that place. But there are other challenges that scare them. That's why you don't just have these pillars. This government will be running on 5 pillars and 10 enablers. Most times, those industries left because of the absence of those enablers. Those enablers include the infrastructure, which you need, security, which you need, the social justice, and other things that go with it. Some other day, we'll have time to look at the 10 pillars. I mean, the 10 enablers that will carry these pillars. But here, Professor Ikone's administration intends to consciously organize the people, say farmers, ensure that they not only produce, but they produce at a scale that can sustain industries that can process, or at a scale that you can export. And to achieve that, the first pillar comes in again. Because when you talk about trading, export, you're talking about trading. Then when you're talking about producing at a scale, you're talking about the finance that has got to do with it. Government will create that enabling environment that will make, say, farmers, for instance, who are into cassava production. You know that cassava is a raw material for production of so many things. And it grows here naturally, but we just use it as our staple food. and that is all, giving it low economic value. Now, government will promote the mass production of cassava and processing of cassava to a level that value is added and to a quantity that it could be exported. Government will guide the farmers and those on other levels of value addition in ensuring such international standards, such qualities that it could be received outside Nigeria. You know, sometime 3 or 4 years ago, Nigeria boasted that it was going to export yam. I was Commissioner for Agriculture then, and in my characteristic nature as they knew me, I challenged the then Minister of Agriculture. I said, first, we don't have enough yam for consumption in Nigeria, not to talk about exporting it and other things. But unfortunately, Nigeria exported, and it was returned. The ones we exported, before they got there, they had spoiled. Because you need to add value. And then apart from spoiling, the quality of the product did not meet international standard. Because the world today is organic, is based on organic production. And you're using agrochemicals of different sorts to produce and export. So what government is going to do in that is to properly guide our people in various fields, various areas, to ensure that whatever they produce will meet international standard. And then there are bottlenecks to, for instance, exporting what you have produced. They will also follow up. There's only government that can address those ones. That's why you have the Export Promotion Council. Guide our people on what things are required and what processes to go through to make sure that what we eventually produce here are accepted outside, and we are able to actually export them. So that is part of the industrialization, because by processing what we produce here, we are creating jobs, more jobs than you can produce, so that you can create by production of raw materials. We cited an earlier example with the textile industry. It's a big industry. Yeah. Now, if we cannot produce the fabrics here, and we're assuming we now concentrate on sewing, what they call fashion designing, production of those wares, then we will maintain the standard. Ensure that anybody producing keeps to those standards. Government should be able to find out for the traders here, the business people here, where their market is best for it. And what we're producing here are sure that they sell and they make profits outside. They will increase their production. So a lot of things that government will do in the area of industrialization that will create that prosperity, which we say every Abia man must benefit from. And you know that Abia here includes everybody living in Abia. You must find something to be doing and you'll be happy. Without everybody depending on government, everybody seeking appointment, everybody wants to be appointed SA, to be appointed a DC member, or one thing or the other.
Okay, before we leave this and go on a very short break, you know, talking about this industrialization, is there hope for these moribund industries?
Well, what government will do, should do, is to create an enabling environment. Okay. Government cannot, and Prof. Ikone's government does not intend to get involved in business. Government will create an environment that will enable business people to do their business profitably. Create access road, provide electricity, provide social security, and every other thing that will make people relax and do their business. Ensure that there is ease of doing business. You know, part of the problems of doing business here is multiplicity of taxes, levies, charges. You see all kinds of people coming to you, as this one is living for environment, another one is coming for advert, another one is coming for, sometimes you see Bakassi will come for security and all that, and sometimes it becomes very disturbing to somebody who has come to do business. Government will ensure that there is ease of doing business. You want to do business, it doesn't take you a long time to have your business registered. You don't have to move from Ministry of Lands to Ministry of Finance to Board of Internal Revenue. You can stay on one table to do it. Dr. Pazo has started it by building the house now. where the Board of Internal Revenue is staying. So that is the way government is going. That will make it very easy for people to come and do their business. At that point, if there's electricity, as we are getting it back now in Abia, you will agree that there is much improvement. There is much improvement. And then it standardizes and stabilizes. Those industries that left, many of them left because of the challenge of power. If the power is there, if they don't come back, other people can now come and do their businesses. Take, for instance, you run a hotel in this place. You can hardly make profit. Because most of the times you have to run on generators. And sometimes you find that maybe you come into a hotel of 20, 30 rooms, you have only 2 guests. And you have to run jet to keep that guest in that place. At the end of it, you take money from previous days that you had a boom. So when government ensures that those basic things are available, I'm sure that businesses that left, maybe those who left because of lack of security during the era of kidnapping and all that, of course, many of them are coming back now, as security in Nigeria seems to be stable more than any other state in the southeast and in Nigeria for now. So by the time that is fully stabilized, many of the people who have left or who are thinking of leaving will come back, and new people will come, and the state will go.
All right, our wonderful viewers, we are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, issues of the moment will continue. Remember, we are still talking about the tiger economy. We are all must prosper, and I'm sure you're listening. Keep watching Living TV until we are back.
Allow me to enjoy myself. Allow me,
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on SatView channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain come Serie A, Italy come Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and commercials. We are situated at number 1 Judges Street off Ikorebane Road, Aba, Abia State. For further enquiries, call 0805 367 3900. Signed, Management.
allow me,
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in pidgin English, Living TV, Unade Kampe.
Living TV, bringing the word first to you.
Yes, I'm glad you're still there watching Living Television. We've talked about the trade, we've talked about industrialization, and the duo put together might equal to good governance. But notwithstanding, our honorable here, Right Honorable Uzo Chukwu Azubike, has done justice to this too. He has also talked about participatory government. But talking about the number 3, which is a good government, let us hear what he will tell us about transparency, accountability, effectiveness, efficient and equitable, responsive, inclusive, and respect for the rule of law.
Thank you very much. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. But most times you hear the people grumbling murmuring because they don't understand what government is doing. Because government does things without recourse to them. There is a word we use everywhere, which is the challenge of good governance, impunity. Government does whatever it wants to do without caring. And by government, we mean aides, hangers-on around government, who take actions in the name of government, sometimes without those elected to be in that place even knowing what those people are doing. And they bring bad name to the government. That isolates the people from the government. It becomes a matter of we and them. The people now see the government as them. They no longer have ownership of the government. And so that is no longer democracy because it is no longer by the people. Now, good governance ensures participatory government, participation. It ensures transparency. What government is doing should be understood by the people. For instance, when you have money, say under this present envelope system we are running in Nigeria, where every month you go to Abuja and get allocation on that fact, the people should be able to know this is what we got.
Good.
That is transparency. The people should be able to know at the end of the day, this and that is where we put the money. If it is not enough, assuming for instance government gets 2 billion naira in a month, their wage bill is 1.5, all wage bills, people know that, oh, we have already spent 1.5 of our 2 billion on wage bills. People will be expecting you to do work of 500,000. And then, assuming you have projects, ongoing projects, that will require 1 billion, people already know because you are transparent, just like husband and wife. Once the wife knows what the husband is getting, there will be limit to their financial clashes.
Yes.
In fact, if you're wise and you get that money, you know it's not enough, you give it to your wife to hold and be spending it from there. When I was Commissioner for Agriculture, that was what I did. Because when I came, there was no fund in that place. That place was dead, and I said I must kickstart it. What did I do? I brought my own money, the first 1.5 billion naira, and gave it to the permanent secretary to hold. So that when basic necessary things we needed to do came, instead of bringing it from my boss and giving it to them to be an argument, I will approve it and they spend it. No, it's my money they are spending on government. It's not easy for them to pay you back once they get money in government because it's money they spent. But if you are making the money, for instance, and you are spending it, it will sound to people like, even if the people working immediately with you understand it, other people at a distance will say, how can that be? So, good governance entails transparency. Government must be transparent to the people. Let them know their challenges. Let them also know their prospects. Let them know when at the end of the month, the only money you get is not the money that comes from allocation. You have internally generated revenue. There should be transparency in management of the internally generated revenue because one of the problems of government today is that because there is no transparency in it, most people who are supposed to collect revenue for government pocket it. Government takes depression of it. Under good governance, there must be.
Let's take this call. Hello, this is Living TV. Sorry, that may be network. We can hold that.
There must be transparency. There must be inclusiveness. People, all sections of the state must participate in governance. It cannot be government for one group of people. Maybe as he's coming now, he's a professor. He cannot come there and becomes government for professors. Because now that we are going to elect him, it's not professors that are going to, illiterates are going to participate. He must create a space for them in government. He's an Longwa man from Isialangwa now, from Abia Central. It's not going to be government for Abia Central people. It must be government for Abia State, where all sections of Abia must participate. That is inclusiveness. He is an Anglican. It must not be government for Anglicans. Or for, it must be government for all. That is inclusive.
This Living TV, tell us your name, where you're calling from, your question or contribution, issues of the moment.
Yeah,
You're calling from? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is to
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The federal government is what is assurance that the upcoming government, the upcoming PDP candidate, the one is in power, that will change the current situation of Abia State.
Thank you very much. That is what we are already explaining. Though I don't know what the current situation actually is, but what is bringing on board is good governance. Good governance will ensure that there is participation in governance, participatory democracy. That means that you will be free to say what you think government should do, what you think government is doing right and what you think government is not doing right. If that happens, if you are back there in your house and you realize that government is moving in a wrong direction, because the forum had been created for you to express yourself through the town hall meetings, through the open telephone line where you can send messages, and every other medium that Professor Ikono intends to establish. You'll be able now to point it out to him and to government that, look, this is not going the way we want it. That is the assurance I'm giving you. The other assurance I'm giving you is that under the good governance, he is going to ensure that all sections of the state participate in government in various ways, like I have said it, through his appointment. They will ensure that there is equity and justice. If you go to the civil service, you see that many times you have various, not just civil service, most things we do in Nigeria, is lopsided. Whoever is on seat determines who gets what, and most times he will fill that place with his people. That is not good governance. Where there is good governance, all sections of the state and all classes and caliber of people within that regime should be treated equally. Most importantly, there should be rule of law. See, today, the level of impunity in government at all levels, is such that even when a court gives order, government ignores it and moves on as if nothing has happened. I'm not talking about Abia State. I'm talking about it's even worse at the center where you have the APC government. They don't listen to the people. They don't listen to the people. This morning I bought fuel at 350 naira, but there is a law, or rather a regulation that has pinned the pump price of fuel at 170 something, and government is not doing anything about it. Good governance ensures that everybody follows the law, complies to law, directives, policies, programs of government. And that where anybody feels that government has gone wrong, you approach the courts. The courts will be properly equipped as an organ of government that is serving the constitutional responsibility of redressing wrongs and complaints, so that people who feel injured one way or the other, or who even disagree with intended government program, can easily approach the court, and whatever orders the court made must be obeyed. That is under the rule of law.
Okay, talking about this government, even if we're going to dwell here throughout the day, because the most important thing, even as we speak, both the forthcoming government and even the present government, the whole thing borders on good governance. And thank God you've been able to explain. But there is this question, talking about interpretation of government policies. I know we have the National Orientation Agency, we have the Commissioner for Information, but I think this has not been enough. What will this coming government do about public relations agent experts who are good and who will also help in making sure that government policies are well interpreted? And this is how it is done in so many developed countries. Know what the government is about doing. People will get their opinions and suggestions to the government, just like you talked about this participatory government and the all-inclusiveness of government.
So you have already answered what Prof. Ikono is bringing on board. All the agencies, all the individuals, all the platforms.
Sorry, sir. Hello, Living TV, issues of the moment. Your name and where you're calling us from, your question and maybe suggestion.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm happy to be listening to this program at Living Television. I'm calling from Abia State, about precisely.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the program, but I want to ask a question. I want to ask on the honorable. You know, people are discussing about tiger economy.
Yeah.
How can tiger economy work when teachers are going to numerous months, when workers in Abia State are being old? So when is assured that this current government, that the current government is going to clear tiger economy. I want to ask, is it sustainable? Because people cannot afford to earn a living in that country because they are being old. So I want to know, with this current government that is coming, clear the debt of the previous administration. That's my question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That comes under good governance. The Bible says that a laborer deserves his wage. And one of my friends added, even when the sweat is still on him. You don't say he deserves his wage and you wait until he dies and you give it to his children. No, I didn't read that third one he added from the Bible. He said it's in his own Bible. Yes. When the sweat is still on him. Now let me tell you, nobody is in a better position to address that problem than Professor Uche Ikonne. He has done it severally. He came to Abia Polytechnic on intervention. That place was riddled with 2 billion naira debt before he came, and the place had shut down. Almost all their courses were de-accredited. But within the 8 months that he was there, he was already a deputy vice chancellor in ABSU then. Within the 8 months that he was there, he was able to redress those issues until he was called over to Abia University to come and run. Where he also met the same situation, where many courses were de-accredited, their staff were old and all that. For the 5 years that Professor Ikonne was Vice Chancellor of Abia State University, let me tell you, government has not been very righteous in releasing the grants. Of course, that's the excuse they give in Abia Poly. It's the same thing with Abia University. That's anywhere Dr. Ibazo, the governor, had opportunity. He will always tell people that Professor Ikonne was doing miracle in that university. What did he do? He looked inwards to harness the resources. Those revenues that were leaking, the school fees students used to pay, and other extortions that were entering into private pockets, he made sure that everything was channeled through automation. And then they now know what they have internally, and they were able to manage it. For the 5 years he was Vice Chancellor, that university did not go on strike. Even when all universities were on strike, on national strike, Abia University did not participate because they said our employers are not owing us, they are not treating us well. There's no way, out of sympathy for other people, we'll shut down our schools. So he is a public servant, a civil servant. He knows what it means for the month to end, and you cannot receive your salary. His wife, you may not know, is a civil servant, has been a civil servant all her life. She's today the Solicitor General of Abia State. She's the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Justice. So they know where the shoe, they say he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. Nobody will tell them the need to have these things clear. But let me tell you, it's easy to clear those areas. It might not be in one day. But when it comes, there'll be a template to be paying the current ones and be paying those ones. And what to make it easy is automation. Once the payroll system is automated in Abia, you now know the actual workers. And you know those you are owing. You know the actual number of pensioners. Ihejoha did it in Imo under 3 months. And he realized that the nominal roll on their pension was less than 50% of what they were charging in the month. And so a few people in public service, those civil servants who are shouting, a few of them there were putting that money in their pocket. It's possible that they had also some collaborators in the political class. It's possible. But with automation, it became very easy to pay these things. And I can assure you that once Professor Ikonne comes in and the system will be fully automated, Dr. Ibazo has started it, the President Governor has started automation, but the system will be fully automated. When they started automation, there were resistances here and there. When Ijedo tried to do it in Imo State, they lulled and all that. They said we will not. But of course, he had the seal of authority, and he stopped them, did what he needed to do, and everybody calmed down and did that automation. And before the end of the month, everybody will have his salary. So the answer to that is that yes, mandatorily, there is no way, say, participatory governance, where all must prosper. A hungry man cannot prosper. A laborer you are owing cannot prosper. So he will ensure definitely that those things are paid, and nobody can do it better than him. Somebody who is coming from a private background does not even know the systems of the government, not to know or talk of the challenges, in governance to address those issues. So take it to the bank that Professor Ikonne.
Tell us your name, where you're calling from. This is Living TV, issues of the moment, and then your contribution or question. Good afternoon.
Can I use you to ask my question?
Go ahead. Swaliku.
Okay, because also I will go to administration because from one person to one junction, you see different kinds of people now collect people like this. The administration now, I don't know in the transfers, these duties, and I show I want to do the and I will do that.
Okay, Amarachuku.
Imela Amarachuku, irresponsible mmadụ, inwe ọdụ mmadụ dị ka gị ga-ime ọchịchị aka dị mfe n'ihi ọchịchị aka ya na-akpọ participatory government maka enwe ọchịchị ebe mmadụ ga-etinye ọnụ ndị ọzọ ga-etinye ọnụ ọkpụrụ otu ị chọrọ ịsụrụ Igbo ugbu a gị gwefụta onwe gị ka ị nwee ike kwuo otu o sitere gị n'obi ọ bịa rute prọfesikọrọ na-ekwe mkpasị na-adị inwe ọchịchị ndị mmadụ ga-inwe ọnụ kwuo ihe ha chọrọ ikwu ọ bụrụ na ị malitere n'oge kewa okwu m mgbe m malitere asị m lata n'ọnọdụ ịkwalite ọnọdụ azụmahịa ka anyị kpọrọ trade na prọfesikọrọ na-ese lee nke ịhụ na otu ndị iche iche a na ndị mmadụ onye anara ala onye ọrụ na-abịata ga-ekwụsị a ga-ehazi ya ahazi tupu afọ ebido onye ọbụla anara ihe kwesịrị ya ịtụ ịmata ebe ị kwesịrị ịtụ ya nke ahụ m kpọrọ ọtọmeshọn m sụchara ugbu a tupu oge ịjụ ajụjụ ọtọmeshọn ọbụla eji ịkwụ ụgwọ eji mere ga-ekwunye ọ bụghị ikpere ego nye mmadụ ya ejifeela azụ o nwere dịka mụọla ahụcha ewele iwe a ga-ejide ndị moto aba kpọrọ wee ọdụ ha fụ nga ego pol gbọdụ echi ndị ichere ema ụwa agaghị eza anaghị adụ 30,000 afịa 40,000 ọ dịghị mkpa ịbara na gọọmenti laza ahụ ọjọọ ya n'ọchịchị prọfesọ Ikonne ọnọdụ ịhazi ezigbo atụmatụ azụmahịa n'ọnọdụ ịhazi ezigbo atụmatụ ọchịchị ndị nye ndị mmadụ ohere ikwu obi we ọ dịghị ohere ga-edere tax force na ihe ndị ahụ wee niile mba onye ọbụla ga-eme ihe gọọmenti na-eme ka ego ọbụla emetafụ gị nwee ike wuo ya ana m ekwesịghị nkwa ike site na ihe prọfesọ Ikonne kwupụtara sị n'ọchịchị ya agaghị enwe ihe dị ka tax force ndị ahụ kama gọọmenti ga-akpacha anya hụ na onye ọbụla akwụ ụgwọ kwesịrị ịla akwụ.
Honorable. Yeah, when you were talking about participatory government, you talked about transparency. In transparency, you talked about the allocation. Because for one to say that the governor has done very well, or any leader at any capacity, any chief executive, both in the local government or even at the federal level, then whatever money received must be commensurate with the job done. And now, what will this government do to ensure there is effective interpretation of the policies of government before they are done? This is one of the problems we are having in governance.
It's very simple. When there is obedience to the rule of law, it means that every person must play his role.
That's it.
You will not leave your role as a governor to go and play the role of the Speaker of the House of Assembly. You will not leave your role as a Speaker to go and play the role of the judge of the court. Everyone plays his role. If everyone plays his role unfettered, definitely the system will run. When we talk about transparency, which I told you is part of the ingredients of good governance, transparency will ensure that people know exactly what you have. See, many of things are based on speculations. From time to time, people raise rumor that government has got ₦1 trillion, and they expect ₦1 trillion worth of job. But meanwhile, government does not even have any such thing. Now, it is in the interest of government that it is transparent. So that people will know exactly that this month, the money we got can only pay our wage bill. They now know why that road government said they will continue next month, cannot continue because the money we have here now has been used to pay wage bill because it is a top priority. And they will also know when this month, the money we got is less than half of the wage bill, and this is the wage bill, and everybody knows it is the wage bill. After what I said, the automation I said, I must have cleaned out the nominal role. And then they will join government in thinking out how do we cover the gap. So that way, nobody will have room to accuse government. That is not to say that we don't know there are mischievous people who do not see anything good in life. At every point in time, they are looking for fault. Those people will always come. They will bring rumors and say, this government, they say this, paste the check, they will see it. So transparency is the key to it.
All right, let's go over to the next one, education and healthcare. Honorable, before you take us on that, it is obvious that a few months ago, the Abia State Polytechnics was deaccredited. Even as we speak, the Abia State University, the medical department, and so on, since he couldn't have left, something also happened there. And I know the man we're talking about is an academic. And so, is he going to see education as one of his priorities?
That is why he has made education a pillar. Because he knows that everything you do in government, the people need education. Education is knowledge. Education is information. Education is shared experience. Experiences of people in the past, other people, and other regimes and regions. So, everybody who toys with education is toying with the future of a people. Take for instance, for 9 months this year, all the tertiary institutions in Nigeria were shut down because of ASU strike. And it did not bother the federal government.
At all.
But ASU was not, all the children. Within that period, you know what happened? Many children went into different crimes and vices. Because they say an idle hand is the devil's workshop. And what is the cause? Remunerate the workers properly and timely. If you follow the history of the ASU strike, is one vicious circle that will be difficult to end. It will take a government with extraordinary willpower to break it, because each time they go on strike over failed agreements of the past, which when the strike government will come and accept whatever they say and sign off on it. But after that, government realizes that it may not be in a position to implement the terms of those, which is dishonesty on the part of government. So, Prof. Sikone, as a thoroughbred educationist, who has managed institutions in distress, when it came to Abia Polytechnic was in distress. When it came to Abia University, their courses were deaccredited, and he was able to manage them for those periods, 5 years, 8 months here, and stabilize the system, and return sanity and order within the system. So you don't need to ask if he's going to prioritize education, because it's already a pillar. A pillar is a major anchor in a system.
Yes, when a lot of people who saw this, because the first time I look at this Tiger economy, yes, was during his visit to the Anambras in Abia State. Okay. At Tony Ma said that was the first time I saw that so many questions came up, because even somebody cited an example of Bonneanu, who came directly from the university, and then teachers were owed before he left and so on. So that was why I needed to ask this again. But
Bonneanu came from university as a lecturer. Okay. Prof. Sikone left the university as vice chancellor. Okay. The lecturer will not understand what it takes to ensure that salaries of workers in the university system are paid. But the vice chancellor will understand, because the thing falls directly on his head, just like the governor. Let me tell you, the commissioner will not understand what it takes to meet the various bills of government, to do the projects and all that. It is the governor that will understand it, because everything is on his table. He sees the income, he sees the lines of expenditure and all that. So there are different backgrounds. Prof. Sikone is not just an academic. We're not saying he will be governor because of the books he has read. No, we are saying he has shown cognate experience. Cognate is practical. He has managed a government institution that is supposed to be in economic trouble, but was able to navigate through it and stabilize it for 5 years. The students were all happy. The lecturers were happy. But when I say the lecturer, it cannot be all. Because those who are doing those bad things at the back, at his top, will not be happy. But they are in extreme minority.
Okay, while talking about education, let us look at this rural development. And this rural development will bring us down to what the local government stands as the third tier of government. And recently, Honorable, you will agree with me that the local government have not been doing anything recently in terms of road grading, building school blocks, and so on. And then how is, in talking about rural development, how is Prof. Sikonne going to handle this aspect?
Rural development is very broad on its own.
It is.
And is very key to ensuring that prosperity and happiness for every Appian, because the bulk of other people live in the rural areas. I'm privileged to have gone through the 3 tiers of government.
Yes.
I started as a councillor. I was secretary to Anan local government. I went to the House of Assembly, then I went to the National Assembly, and then I was also commissioner. So I worked in both arms of government at all levels to understand the importance of the local government system. That when you have a functional local government system, well supervised, because when I was secretary to local government, local governments were receiving their allocations directly. But the problem we had in Nigeria then were local government chairmen. Any newspaper, any news media you open, you hear people lamenting about local government chairmen because, one, many of them were low in intellect. They didn't have basic education. They didn't have basic experience. They saw that money that was coming then as their own, just the way some governors also see public funds. Just the way many people in public office, many see public funds. So they so much abused it. And that was what attracted so much attention to local government system, that when the governors found the opening in the Constitution, under Section 7 of the Constitution, they decided to make laws that made them to emasculate the local government system. So, autonomy of local governments, proper funding of local governments, and proper supervision of local government projects are key to ensuring rural development. Then opening of roads, critical infrastructure within the rural areas. Like me, most times I prefer to operate from my village because my house is on the road, good road. There is water, at least in my house, and you have boreholes everywhere. There is electricity. So you feel that there is no need for you to go to Umaga and rent a house, or come to Aba and rent a house. So you find it more convenient to stay in your own house, where you can sleep in 2 or 3 rooms in one night at your convenience. Nobody is disturbing you. So once the critical infrastructure are provided in the local areas, and agriculture is promoted, because agriculture is part of that rural development, because most of them are into it, and they find it to be profitable. That whatever you produce, there's already a market for you, and that you make your profit. And that the basic things of life that will chase you to Aba or to Lagos or to Umaga are there. And that people can easily come to your market. Today is Monday. I wish you were around my village on every Saturday. You see how the place is booming. People come from Aba, from everywhere, because there's a market there where farmers from the surrounding places bring out their products. And so, once you develop the rural areas, you have made more than 60% of Appians to have that happiness, that prosperity, because as it's booming, the economy is booming. Then, of course, you put the basic health facilities, which government has tried to do. Because in most of the rural areas today, you have the primary health centers. Many of them are functional. So, consequently,